interstate tourists will be given cash incentives of up to $1,000 to travel to the Northern Territory. Live to Matt Cunningham in Darwin. Matt, the government tried to boost support for its struggling tourism industry. We were getting told you're never coming back not so long ago, and now a bit of money to help people get up there.
It's amazing what an election can do, Tom. The message before and after the election here in the Northern Territory has been very different. We know how popular some of those border closures have been. We know that governments have, in fact, been polling their residents ahead of elections about that very issue. This government was certainly taking a tough line on that border issue before the election that was held on the 22nd of August. They were talking about hard border closures. Well, the borders are, in fact, open to most of the country here in the Northern Territory, and they're now talking about how they can try and get as many people from the other states and territories here to the NT. I did ask the Tourism Minister, the new Tourism Minister, Natasha Files, about that mixed message that the government had been sending when she held that news conference this morning. Here's how she responded.
Australia is very much on top of this pandemic, and we've seen, as I said, promising figures out of Victoria over the past few days. We certainly are conscious that we're living in a new COVID world, and tourism operators have responded. Their cancellation policies have been very flexible, and so now is the time, when you can't plan in any international travel for the foreseeable future, to plan your territory getaway.
So the good news, Tom, for people living in the ACT, Queensland, South Australia, WA, Tasmania, is that if you want to come to the Northern Territory, the government will pitch in up to $1,000 for your trip. It'll be $200 for every $1,000 you spend for trips that have to be booked through dedicated travel agents, including Hello World and Flight Centre. The bad news is that you need to take these trips between the 1st of October and the 31st of March. And I can tell you that that is the build-up and the wet season here in the Northern Territory. We've had an early taste of the wet season here over the weekend. More than 50 millimetres of rain fell, and I can tell you it's very humid right now as we speak. The Tourism Minister was also asked whether people would want to come to the Northern Territory during a time of year when conditions can be fairly oppressive.
Now is the opportunity to see the Territory like you might not have imagined. We had a wonderful display of an electrical storm in Darwin over the weekend, the landscape, the green versus the red. So yes, it can be warm, but you can build your trip around air conditioning and wonderful swimming pools. So we certainly encourage people to think outside the box. It's not just Darwin and the top end, it's right across the Territory, and there's some amazing tourism locations and adventures that await.
Hell of a lot to see, I know, in the NT. Is it a bit weird to hear the Minister spruiking watching a storm? I would have thought there's a few other things on people's to-do list, first of all, Matt.
You have to have seen a Darwin storm, I think, Tom, before you can cast that judgment. It's pretty spectacular, and I can tell you we've really had two wet seasons here in the Northern Territory where there's been no wet season at all. So when that storm came on Friday night, there were a lot of people, perhaps myself included, who got out from under the covers and went and had a look at the lightning show, Tom. It is something to behold when a Darwin storm in all its glory rolls across the top end, and we were certainly treated to that on Friday night.
All right. Well, I've been put on my place. I haven't seen one yet, so I'll have to add it to the to-do list. Matt Cunningham, thank you.